So I thought I'd take us on a little tour of the garden. So, this is the compost area. Now these were volunteers from store-bought butternut squash. This is the only one that survived, and not very many have grown. I mean, obviously you want to get certified seed, but if you can't, it's a great way to start with gardening, but you never know what you're going to get. So these, I just throw avocado seeds in the compost and I have trees for days. These are little, these are the actual seeds that have grown, but I have cuttings as well. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. But this is all the experimental garden, so it's okay. Let's see, this is the little butterfly, not butterfly, but the bird bath, animal wash, insect area that I've set up here. Just bring all the little creatures together, give them a little something during the day. It's super hot. And the idea is to have a variety, to bring in a number of creatures, because they all work together. I mean, that's the thing. Life has to be diverse in order for it to be abundant. And these are volunteers, not the basil, but everything else is a volunteer. These are from last year. I was surprised because I only got one of these last year. Let's see if I can find the little... There we go. There's one. Look at that guy. I have a few coming in, so these are melons, I believe. My little nursery back here with plants that need a bit more support than the ones out here. So much to do. Never a dull moment. And you're always going to be busy. These beautiful Malabar berries. Gorgeous purple. I've been training this one. The video is going to show everything a bit yellow. It's a bit more yellow on the video than it actually is in real life, but my plants are quite hungry. So I have so much to do that I haven't kept up as much as I'd like to with these guys. Ideally, I would be planting so that as the different species die out, they will replenish the soil and they won't need me as much. But I am a hands-on gardener, so I love to play in the garden. Some people don't. One of the ideas of permaculture as well is to create spaces where the plants can survive without much or even any human intervention. But as I said, this is an experimental garden, and I'm just playing around with different cultivars and seeing whether or not they're going to work together. I like to break rules. I love to break rules in the garden. Try things that people say can't be done, just because I like to test. There are many reasons why plants die and gardens fail. And it's not always set in stone. And there are certain rules, obviously. Some plants prefer certain types of soils and moisture, and you have to have the correct environments, but you can create microclimates in which the plants will thrive in places that you didn't think that they would. So I had a bunch of cucumber in here, but there was so much wilt I took them out, and you can see the loofah. We do have insects. Now, I don't mind a little unsightly features. I'm not too worried about holes in my plants. I want my plants to be healthy, but as long as they're not being attacked to the point of losing crop or even dying, then I'm okay. Also because it lets me see that there's so much life and that it's okay for it to be there. If I'm doing my job right, then they'll be okay. And I don't have to worry about a few bugs here and there that I generally would consider pests. We have a bunch of wisteria on this wall. It's coming over the neighbor's garden, but it's gorgeous in the springtime, so I've been training it behind these plants because when everything's died down in the winter, the wisteria will be on this back wall and it will be absolutely gorgeous. Now, a lot of the peppers and tomatoes and the eggplants have not produced as much as I would like. It was better than last year. But there's a number of reasons for that I won't go into right now. But they're coming back. I've been playing around with them a little bit and they're coming back. I'm letting a lot of my plants go to seed and fall where they may, and they'll come back in the spring. I'll be pulling out a lot of these tomato plants soon because of disease and just being destroyed by pests. And I also have to very soon repot several of these. These laurels, I have 2 laurel back there that I know want to become trees. They're telling me. But I'll wait until it's cooler so as not to disturb them. It's the hottest part of the year now. We're just really hitting the hottest part of the year. So I'm careful of what I'm doing, how much I'm trimming. Trying not to disturb too much. Everybody's trying to conserve water and blossom and fruit. Let's see if I can take a walk around these guys here. If you get a chance to get some wild magic basil, it is absolutely delightful, it is beautiful, it is fragrant, bees love it, just a happy, happy plant. It is so prolific. It is my favorite basil, and I'm going to put it everywhere, or I am putting it everywhere. I even have some little friends over here. You see in that far pot there is tomato and pomegranate cuttings. I have hibiscus cuttings down below. In that sort of blackish pot there, you have the citronella, and then a bunch of vine plants. I've forgotten the name of those right now, but I'm going to cut those and bring them to the front. I just want to show you. That tomato plant sitting up there by itself has lived there in half light. So it's lived there in half light for the whole season, and it's produced 1 tomato. It actually had more flowers on it, but I've trimmed it down. So it produced 1 tomato, which is more than the German Johnson produced. So And that was planted in full sun in the plot. It's my fig. I'm just going to show you real quickly. This is how close I am to my neighbors, and their fig tree is right here, and it's well established, gorgeous, and fruiting. So I've tried some with permission, and they are lovely. Oops. Here we go. Gorgeous fruit. Let's see if I can. Sort of see it. There we go. Super sweet and flavorful. Oh, it's a little bit more mild than some leftovers, but it's still delicious. And this is my guy. We have not fruited yet, but maybe next year. This is the other end of this wild plot. I'd been waiting all season for this guy to grow. Finally came up. Beautiful. So next season I'm going to change how this is set up to include a little bit more privacy. But this is a part of the garden wild, is that it is experimental. Playing around with a small plot to find different techniques, and you do want the plants to be established as well. I mean, it's nice to be able to move things around, but you don't want to move them around too much during the season. So right now it's more experimental than I hope it will be in the future. I'd like for it to be more established in the next few years. So what you're seeing here with this elderberry is I actually had to cover it. There were so many beautiful blooms on here. The umbels were full. And overnight, they flowered, they started to fruit, and the berries were very small. Very small. And as they plumped up overnight, they just were devoured. So I saved what I could, but there's almost nothing left. But that's the price you pay for having plants that are delicious and wanting animals in your garden. So you find ways to protect them. So next season, I will cover them as soon as they start to fruit. But just with these, right now it's just these little reusable vegetable bags. They're really great. But you can buy some that are made specifically for this if you want. Do what you want. Just protect your garden if you can. And I do like to leave, a bit of the food for the animals, and that's one of the reasons that the garden is here. And that's how the garden works, is that the animals and the insects and the bugs, they eat from the garden, they live in it, it's their home. And so I'm just providing them with that space, and I get to eat some of the bounty that comes from it. Yes, I planted it, but it will not work without them, or unless I use a lot of products that harm nature. And that's not what we want to do. So the only pesticide I've used on this garden is neem, and I haven't used it in a while, and I'm trying not to use it now. Trying to go the natural way, but you see that I have a lot of diversity, and I've been working on this garden to bring in beneficial, insects and animals. Like these. Perfect.